Hello, this is Truth Be Told Transformation, and I'm Bonnie Burkert, here to share tools for transformation to live your highest truth. One thing that's true for me is seeking wise counsel when looking to make a career change, or really any kind of change. Sure, I'll talk to family and friends, but ultimately, the answers lie within. How do we get there? Well, let's talk about tapping intuition and that inner wisdom. I have invited to the studio today to talk about this intuitive healer, tarot expert, powerful priestess, my guide, and very, very favorite friend, Ginger Pullman, and special guest, Sammy.
Thank you, Bonnie. We appreciate having us on the show. Sam is thrilled to be here to talk about career changes and tapping and intuition. So yeah, Sammy loves Bonnie, by the way, just so you know.
Well, I hope he does, yes. In past times, we have had fun, but he may be a little shy in the studio lights. So for those of you listening on the podcast, come over to our YouTube channel, which is on the Club Paranormal Network. So Ginger, you and I have often consulted the cards.
Yes.
When I'm looking for, maybe it's a big change, or maybe it's really just within an organization. What am I going to do? Or why is this person giving me a hard time? Mm-hmm. Do I want to take on this new client? So let's talk about the tools. So we know you from past episodes. Please have a look, everyone. As looking at the cards, right at the tarot, and I love your readings. Mm-hmm. But I know that you've expanded beyond, and that can also intertwine with tarot readings as well. So why don't you tell us a little bit about using the tools?
Sure. A lot of my clients, they usually come to me with two questions, and that is love and career. Those are usually the big ones. And the cards are one tool, but then there's a lot of tools that come through for my readings when people want to ask about their career, and it could be simply a message from my guides or spirit animals. I'm also curious about their astrological sign and what else is happening with astrology that year. Like, is it a Mercury retrograde? Is it an eclipse? Is it time for major career transition? Or is it time, there's a difference between, is it time to quit, or just simply time for a rest? So each client is different. Sometimes I will get a direct message from a client like, oh, it's time for you to go. And it's very simple, very clear, like it comes through. I don't even have to pull anything. And then some people, they might take, more than one journey. I'm going to let him back in his bag.
Okay.
Going back.
Thank you, Sam. He's like, I've made my appearance. Let me go.
I've done it.
So what I'm getting from that is that we have to remember the sort of multiple layers of incoming information. Right? So if we're doing this for ourselves, for example, it's kind of taking note of, sorry,
cute cat.
For those people that don't have a chance to be watching this, exploring the studio. So, we have to kind of get an idea of maybe the astrological weather. Is that one of the ways of looking at it?
Yeah. As you know, like this past April, we had the great solar eclipse in the United States. And let me tell you, right around that eclipse, my phone was blowing up with people needing readings. A lot of people were breaking up or making major decisions. And there was a lot of people with major career changes. And this was going on April 2024 and through May 2024. And for some people, it's still going to continue on to feel like these energies. So right now is a great time to be talking about career change, because there are a lot of things in flux with this astrological weather this year with this great solar eclipse. Oh,
okay. Interesting. So the eclipse happened in April, but we're still feeling the waves. And then there's other eclipses that are, we always have solar. There's always eclipses, right? There's always solar and lunar eclipses. Whether or not they are happening in our country is a different story, but regardless, it's influential. But it was very, very influential this spring.
Yes.
I had some rockiness around it. It was profound, but I definitely had some rocky scenarios. Not necessarily work related, but just me, I can't even begin to explain. It was just something was off. And so, our light basically the light is blocked, right, for moments on our planet, and it's very disorienting. And I think it's really good to be sort of aware of all of that.
Yeah.
So
you can also think of it like, let's say there's the eclipse and it's like, okay, yay, sun. So that moment when we're in the dark, for some people that, had to shake up with their love life or their career, whatever it is, picture you're at a party, you're just doing your thing, and all of a sudden some figure grabs you and yanks you into the closet at the party and says, hey, come here a second. It's time for you to quit your job. Break up that guy. It's time for you to go, go, go. And they shove you back out again. That's basically what happens with the eclipse. For that little moment. That's one way to look at it. That's not so scary. So it's like, really, it's somebody trying to help you, redirect you. And change can be scary, especially for my earth signs. Oh, you Taurus, you Capricorns, you Virgos. Oh, not change, not that. Those earth signs will cling on to a job until like their fingernails are falling off. Like, they're not big on change.
Wow. Okay. So tell me how this is great. I love working with the astrology in addition to, because I know you mostly with the cards. So tell me kind of what came first for you as you started being a counsel for others, wise teacher, a guide for others.
Sure.
Do you feel that, what comes first? Do you look at the cards first, or do you look at the overall weather, astrological weather?
It's a little bit of both. I'm typically paying attention to what's going on in the astro weather. So like when all the calls are coming in around the eclipse, I'm like, uh-oh, here comes the big changes. And the first thing I do when a client sits across from me is I ask them to say their name. And what happens when they say their name, I immediately get some sort of a visual that kind of tells me energetically what their space looks like. Typically, I see a lot of plants. And it's like, it could be some sort of like an aloe plant that's wilting, or a rose that's thick and thorny, or something that's up, and then I got a bunch of leaves that are drooping. That kind of gives me a little bit of a gauge, like energetically, like where's my client at? Is their energy depleted? What's going on in their space? Or are they happy and bountiful, but they could be bigger? Are they fully grown, or is it a little plant in the process of growing? So I tend to see plants when I talk to people.
That's super unique. That's great. I've never heard that. And I love the plant analogy a lot.
By the way, I have a brown thumb. Don't give me a plant. It will die. Right? All my plants are fake. Sorry.
So, okay. So if you're making a suggestion, I mean, obviously you've done a lot of different coursework and, advanced coursework on tapping your intuition with the skills that you've described, to see it, but also to interpret it. But if you wanted to share some suggestions for people at home, I mean, one of the things I'm hearing is maybe listening or watching for signs.
Yes.
Like a sign, like how could something be, I mean, maybe it's a rainbow in the sky. That's kind of an obvious.
That's a big one.
Right? But maybe there's some other ones. So you want to share some thoughts on that for people?
Yeah. First of all, your guides, your spirits, your ancestors, whoever you want to talk about, they are around you all the time, and they are trying to communicate with you. Sam is trying to talk to us.
Sam, it's a sign.
It's a sign from Sam.
It's a sign from Sam. He says, let me out of the studio. I've already heard too much.
He's like, this is not this lady again. Okay. So your spirits and your guides, they're all trying to send you signs all the time. So I encourage clients to take a minute to turn off the music, get a little calm and centered for a little bit, and then ask them for a sign. Or like ask them, like, what do I need to know? Please, like show up. And first of all, so make the request to have a sign, like what's my energetic thing, and then pay attention to what shows up. It's like, do you suddenly make a bunch of green lights? You go to red lights? Are you delayed in traffic? I think when back in the day, when people used to listen to iPod, some people would joke that it was called iGod, because a random song would come on your shuffle back in the day, and that next song would have like the answer. Yeah. And that can happen with your radio or just flipping on like the television, that first little sentence you hear, like, and in today's news, they're breaking up again. You're like, uh-oh. So you can pay attention to signs like that. But the biggest thing is to simply ask your guides to show up and say, hey, please help me. I'm kind of going through it right now, and I need a little bit of a acknowledgement. Simply just acknowledge that you're here. Like, who's with me?
Yeah, I like that. Applying it specifically to career change, since that's how we've titled the show, what would be a good way to formulate a question, and that could apply to both tapping into our guides, which would be, just one way of listening to our intuition, right? Whether you ascribe to guides or angels, however you wish to know your intuition, but or also the cards. I think the formulation of the question is important, right? Or the request.
Yes.
So do you want to talk to us a little bit about that?
Sure. A basic way, yes, forming your question when getting a tarot reading is very important because it's like we want to know, like, what are we talking about here? So in terms of career, you might want to say, should I stay or should I go? Like, that's a really big one.
So that's like a yes or no.
That's sort of a yes or no.
All right.
And there are a lot of cards that can indicate yes or no within the deck. Anybody can Google that. If you have a deck, ask it a yes or no question. And then I would say Google is your friend. And there's usually a list somewhere saying like it's a yes or a no. You can quickly find your answer if you're not a tarot reader or you're just learning. That's a quick way to do it. You could also go visually. Let's say you want to what is the energy around my job right now?
Okay.
Like what's going on around me? Let's say you know nothing about cards. Pull 3 cards and then lay them out and look at them visually. And this is saying, say you're using the typical deck, like the Rider-Waite deck. And just for a quick example, like here's a card and this is a Knight of Pentacles. It's yellow. Which is like a happy color. This guy's not going anywhere. It's like, okay, so the energy around this would be like, okay, this looks like not that exciting, but it's a safe ride and it's bright enough. It's yellow enough. It's basically, the energy's okay. Like, we're okay. Now, let's say you ask, well, what's the energy around my job? And you pull this card. This card is clearly black and dark and they have swords going through their head. Maybe the energy around your job is not so great, and let's discuss it. So that's a real quick and dirty, nothing about tarot way to kind of check in with the vibes simply by checking out the colors. Again, this is the Rider-Waite deck. You can use whatever deck you like. This is my preferred deck. So the colors.
I like it. Keeping it simple. And then the visuals themselves. I posted on my Instagram earlier today, prior to the show, I was looking for a card and for the day. But I was thinking about our show and the title of our show, Career Change. And not that I'm looking to change my career. I'm liking what I'm doing. Unless I want to be a lotto winner, then that could be a good career for me. But I got the star, and I thought that was really, obviously, it's just, I didn't even necessarily have to read that much about it. It just was a good vibe.
Yeah, it's a wonderful vibe, and I love that you picked the star card because the star, yes, it's healing, it's energy, but it's ruled by the sign of Aquarius. So you working on a podcast and posting this on social media. Social media is ruled by Aquarius. It's talking to the masses through a new way of communication, and podcasts are kind of new and they're kind of exciting. We didn't have this, 120 years ago.
I know.
So
probably even 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Or just barely.
It's a good vibe.
No, it's true. Okay, so keeping it simple, and maybe not everybody has tarot decks, so again, wise counsels. So I like talking about the signs because I know Ginger and I share a great love of nature and how animals can be symbolic of things.
Yes.
And so I don't know, what's your experience with that? Maybe you have a dream, that could be a sign, right?
Absolutely. Let's say you have a dream and there is an animal in it. First thing you're going to do, look up the dream meaning, like, why did this animal show up in my dream or in real life? Like, let's say all of a sudden you start seeing polar bears everywhere. Like, why did I dream about a polar bear? First thing you're going to do, you're going to Google dream interpretation of a polar bear. What does it mean? And also, what was the polar bear doing? Was it facing you? Was it running away from you? Was it close? Was it far away? So check out not only what kind of animal it was, but also what was it doing?
Okay.
What sort of people have a relationship with this animal? Is it people that are, in Ireland really have a particular fondness for this animal? And let's say you have Irish ancestry.
Okay, I see.
So it could be, your ancestors like calling you, or it could say like, move to Ireland, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
I don't think there's polar bears in Ireland.
No, probably not. But I had a dream about a bear this past week that was really crazy. Like, he came into my house and I thought he was maybe going to bite me, but and then I woke up. But I like one of the points that you've made there that I really would like to reemphasize is what the animal's actually doing. So, right? So
Yes.
you can go into a dream interpretation of what does bear mean? What is bear medicine, bear totem? That's really cool. But the fact that he was coming in, I had no clothes on. I was bare.
Yeah, bare naked.
You
Why
know?
not?
Pretty interesting.
That is very interesting.
Yeah, pretty interesting. So we'll talk more about that
Yeah, we'll talk
offline.
about that.
For those of you interested in the deeper interpretation of what I'm going through, send me a note.
Bonnie's
Direct message
bare
me.
naked.
I know.
I actually had a client contact me, and they are very business minded. Like, they are business. There's not one lick of woo in their space. Like, not one sage, not one candle, whatnot, nothing. But they had a crazy, profound dream with 3 major power animals. They dreamt about a great gray owl. They dreamt, and the fox and a skunk all appearing
Wow.
within the same space. So we had to do a lot of work to figure out what was going on there. And I think we eventually came to that as some sort of a warning. Like, they were the wise owl, but then there was also a fox wanting to get in, but the skunk was also a little bit of the defensive and the protection around.
Yeah.
So I think that somebody may have been trying to get up to no good, and well, they picked the wrong one because they were clearly the great gray owl with a skunk friend.
Yeah, with
Little
some
fox.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a great reveal, and I'm glad that they thought to share that with you.
Yeah, of course they're going to call me. Who could they call? What, they're going to call their stockbroker friends? You got to call me.
Some people might. Some people might.
Bob from accounting won't know. Well, he might. That's not fair.
So I was saying, I don't need a career change, which, whatever. Of course, everybody always needs to tweak. So what are some other ways that you advise people taking an approach to their career? So, for example, in my scenario, maybe I like what I do, but there's too much of it, or I want a different caliber of client or something like that. So it's not a major fix, but it's sort of an overall attunement and upgrade for sure, up-leveling. So how do you work with people in those instances?
In those instances, we'll do a couple of what I call crossroads readings, like should I do A or should I do B? Let's say you have a list of clients and you've taken on too much stuff. You can simply ask, what does it look like if I get rid of this client? Like, will I be okay financially? What does it look like if I do this? Will I be okay financially? Or you could say, do I have enough money to hire an assistant? How does it look if I ask for more money for a client? Like, if I'm going to be this tired, I want to go get some snacks and massages to pay for it.
Yeah,
Thank you. So that's how I would do that in a reading. That's how I would do that in a reading. And another thing to simply look at is just a general, like, pulling a card or two and ask, like, what is my career guidance? Like, what are the cards telling me to do? And they could say, like, it's time for you to walk away. And that could be like, walk away real fast. It could be like, make a real strategic plan. Or it could be, talk to this person first. So there's a lot of different answers that can come through the cards. And also, I'm curious for people with their careers, their astrological sign. Like, are they
I think
are
that's
they
great.
are they in the wrong field altogether? And it's time to just say, like, nope, back to school for you, or
Okay.
time to switch it up.
What do you say we do a general reading that would apply to anybody that's watching this?
Okay, let's do it.
Let's do career. Let's see how the cards read for us for just for career. Do you want to just say broad guidance?
Yeah.
This isn't a yes, no. This is more just a kind of an atmosphere that the cards are sharing for anybody who's listening. And I'm going to say through time and space.
Through time and space.
If that's all right. So
no time, no space reading. If you're watching this message might be for you. Take it
Okay.
however it resonates.
Yeah, thank you.
Or leave it.
I know I'm right here, and we've got Sam running the board, so it's gonna. We're definitely feeling it.
Not Sam the cat. Sam the human.
There's more than one Sam here in the studio
We
today.
are Sam squared.
Yeah.
Okay, Bonnie, would you please cut this deck in half?
Okay, sure. On behalf of my listeners,
On behalf of listeners.
put it back on top.
Yep.
Okay, great.
And let's say, and then can you reach over it, or I'll pull 3? Let's just do 3 cards.
Okay, great.
And then this is just general vibe, what's going on for our readers and their careers. Oh man, wait till you see this. She's pulled out the first card, and the first card is Judgment.
And we will describe all the cards for those of you that are on the podcast.
The second card is the 7 of Swords. Ooh. Okay. If you're listening, turn up the volume. You want to hear this. Okay. So here's what's going on with your reading. The first card in this reading is we have the Judgment card. And that is something kind of coming up from like you thought it was dead and it's coming back to life. It could be an old dream you have. It could be an old creative project that you're going to want to work on while you do your own job right now. It could also be that person who was sitting in the conference table and they just slammed their hands on the tables like, that's it. I can't take it anymore. So this is a real sign of some big change coming up for some of you. But this is also like, I would call this like, let's get real card.
Okay.
Let's get real here for a minute with this Judgment card. And also what's going on in this space is the Seven of Swords. Some of you might be dealing with a sneaky, eeky person at work. There could be the sneaky person trying to do sneaky things. Or let's say you're the person who's saying like, that's it, I can't take it anymore. You could be secretly sending out your resume. You could be quietly asking, like networking before you leave your job to say like, I think I want to leave, but I'm not sure yet. And you're just kind of putting out feelers, but you're not telling everybody about it. This is somebody who is being strategic and they're not telling everybody quite what they're doing. If it's you, you're perfect. You're wonderful. You're not being sneaky. They are. But this is simply...
Sevens of Swords, and let's describe the visual on this particular Rider-Waite card. I mean, he's hauling... He's sneaking off. That's the sneaky with 18 swords.
He has 7 swords.
7. Oh,
and
there's that.
He's strategy. So what he's doing in this card is you can see him. He's sneaking away from an enemy camp. And back when they were fighting, there'd be battlefields and there's lots of tents in the background. There would be tents where the soldiers would sleep. They would have their all weapons. This is him sneaking over to the enemy's camp, and he didn't take all of their swords. He left them 2. He left them 2 so they don't get suspicious. So it's like, oh yeah, there's swords over there, but they don't know that this guy has gone over.
And he's taken
5 and he's running way back to his own camp. So that's that strategy. Like it's enough so you don't know what I'm doing, but I'm doing things. It's kind of, he's sneaking away, his little feet are tiptoeing away, and he's covering his tracks a little bit with those 2 swords left behind. So
again, emphasize of storytelling. I mean, these images on these cards are loaded. I mean, you can delve into them on your own, or you can study the traditional meanings of it. So it's a great way. It's great fun, actually.
Yeah, it's fun. They're fun to look at. And then the next card we have coming up is the Temperance card. And this card is basically taking 2 separate things, like it's the card of alchemy, 2 separate elements and making a brand new, whole new element. Now, how would this apply to your career? For some people, they joke that, well, maybe you should be a bartender because it looks like they're. Because if you can't see this card, this is an angel holding 2 different cups, and they're pouring the cups into each other to mix 2 ingredients to make something new. So people joke it's the bartender card. It's also a card of healing and wellness, and it could be, let's say you did have that creative project that you wanted to do, and you're like, that's it, I'm going to write that novel. I'm not ready to quit my job. So what you do is you find a way to carve out your current job to start to plant some seeds and to work on this passion project that you thought was dead, and you want to bring it back to life. Or this dream you thought had died, and you're like, nope, that dream's not dead. It's still in there. And this could also be a card of temperance, meaning, say, like, maybe if I work with this person, but I bring this person on, we can have a better dynamic within a group. It could be about changing a group dynamic. So this first card, this Judgment card that popped up, which is, people rising from coffins while an angel, I think it's Gabriel, blows their horn to have people wake up from their slumber, seems a little extreme. And then there's a little bit of a strategy, but ultimately it ends up being okay. But if you've been thinking some change needs to happen, I will validate you now and say, yes, you need to make some changes, but it all works out. I don't have anything scary here, but it's like... Yeah, some change
but there's going to be some change needs to happen.
It needs to happen.
And there is some strategy required.
Exactly. There's some strategy on your part, or dealing with, or if you have somebody within your company you're working with who's being a little sneaky, depends on how you feel about that person. They need to needs to get dealt with.
Okay, it's great. No, and it's, I listen, I imagine how people are interpreting this. People in you need it, because I work independently now, but I used to be an office worker, and there was a lot of company politics, and I think there always are going to be a certain amount of sort of intergroup dynamic, communications and things like that. But I appreciate the importance of having messages like this come through when you are working your way up and trying to figure it out and really need that job. So again, I'm just sitting here thinking back about my own career and how it's great and to use these tools. I think we told the story one time, you and me on a separate show, but just I actually had some funny little miniature tarot cards show up in my wallet, and I don't know how I got them. I'm going to say, like, if I was a practical person, I believe in magic, so it's like, of course they just showed up in my wallet with the message. But I mean, maybe somebody gave them to me when I was getting change back from a taxi back in the days when cash was used in New York City for cabs. And I didn't know too much about the cards, and there was no internet at the time to look them up. I just the appearance of a card said something to me, and I was looking again at the images. So I just wanted to encourage people, if you are at all interested in knowing about the tarot, don't be daunted by having to be perfect and know exactly what each symbol means. Just look at the cards and let them tell their own story.
Yeah, check out the vibe, and also try not to judge the message too much or deny it. If it's like, I don't want to quit my job, but this card is clearly some blacks, like, here, I don't want to quit my job, and here's the Tower card. It's like, no, this is a card of a house of cards that's falling apart. The king and queen are falling. You're like, no, but maybe they just need to rebuild the house. It's like, girl, stop denying what the cards are saying. This card is saying, yeah, it's time to go. It's time to go. Or it's time for you to start making plans, or plans are going to be made on your behalf. So, so try not to deny the message. Okay.
Yeah. What about the upright and reversed situations with cards?
I personally don't do a lot of reversals unless my gut is telling me, no, that's definitely supposed to be a reversal. I tend to prefer aces, which are just like the one. An ace reversed would mean more to me than any of the other cards. So that's me personally.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about your background reading the tarot and how the evolution has been for you. Because I know that you learned at a young age, right? So probably at a time where it was a little less popular, a little less known.
Yeah, a little less popular, a little less known. I learned as a young child, I learned some from my dear aunt, who has since passed away, but she read cards. She read cards all over the country. She's the one who got kicked out of Mexico for being an illegal alien because she just decided to camp out in Cancun and overstay her welcome. And she was reading tarot cards on the beach. She finally got busted, and she had to get kicked. She got kicked out.
Amazing.
But yeah, she loved Mexico. And I asked her, like, how did you get into reading cards? And she said, she's like, as a child, she's like, I loved the way shuffling cards felt. And I feel the same way too. Like, I love shuffling the cards, shuffling the deck. And I think she even for a while was dealing cards in Las Vegas. Like, she just really loved.
She loved cards. Like actual cards. Yeah. Any card.
Yeah. So my father read cards as well. And
really?
He read the regular playing deck, which was pretty cool.
And how does one do that?
That's another technique. Like, every card in that deck it's similar to the tarot. It's like theft, blonde hair, blue eyed person, a dark person, different people and places and things.
So like the heart of like the 8 of clubs has a certain meaning.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, kind of like the elements earth, air, water, fire a little bit.
True.
So there's 4 suits. So yeah, you can do fortune telling with regular playing cards as well.
Oh, wow. That is something to explore.
Yeah, so if you ever find a random playing card on the street, which I found a few, always be sure to Google, what does this card mean? So another little sign to look out for.
Okay, so go back to your history again. So we were...
Yeah. Oh, yeah, some of my history. So, I've just always been reading cards, and I got deeper into it. And then I was going through a change, and I started studying like intuitive energy healing and getting messages like that. And I was very doubtful a little bit, like, oh, I don't know. I kind of read cards. Like, I was, a healthy amount of like skepticism or insecurity. And then sure enough, like it was like, nope, the messages are coming through. You just have to sit down and tap in
Wow.
to your intuition, and it will work for you, even if you doubt it.
So what comes first, the intuition and then the cards, or is it the cards that kind of opened up your intuition in a bigger way? Like you were already pulling information from the cards. You were already working with your intuition, correct?
Correct. Yeah. Well, it's ultimately a lot of people, they have a sense, like you say, I believe in magic. I'm like, me too. So there's a sense of like believing in magic. And I think that's just in spirituality and just thinking there's something bigger than us. And, we want to tune in.
Yeah. So what are some of the other disciplines that you've studied to complement your tarot expertise?
Oh, well, there's the tarot, and then I do the intuitive energy healing, which is also, I check out past lives, like anything pops up there. Shamanic journeys. I'm very interested in power animals, and Reiki as well, which is interesting.
Where does Reiki come into your repertoire?
Sam. Reiki comes in a little bit. For me, I've discovered that it's not so much about like the healing, but like with my hands are around somebody, that's when I start to get messages. It's like, oh, this past life is coming up, or your childhood, like something is coming up into space. And sometimes simply discussing, let's say it's somebody, and I'm like, oh, I'm getting this real vibe of you and whatever happened in their childhood showing up. Sometimes talking about that, a lot of times clients can cry, which is, I think, a healthy release or an acknowledgement of something that maybe they have kept hidden, or just something that they don't discuss a lot.
It's incredible.
So that shows up a lot as well.
Yeah, exactly.
And then sometimes I've had specific healing things show up. Like I was like, oh, you need to poop. And they did, and they felt better.
It's crazy.
And that was the thing.
So it can be physical.
Their back hurt, and I was like, I think you got something stuck in there, buddy.
Wow.
And they did, and they fixed their back.
Isn't that incredible? I mean, what a gift to be able to share with people.
It was a gift.
So again, Ginger's my longtime very good friend here, and I just like to always ask this question of all my guests, Ginger, because it's twofold. One, how's it going for you with this practice? I feel like things are going deeper. So I'd like to know the trajectory of your career as a reader. How is that? How do you feel that's going for you?
I think that this is really, I've been doing it, but I feel like this is the big year where I'm really going for it at the next level. Because astrologically, like my North Node is in Virgo, and the Virgo, my sun sign is in Virgo, and then the North Node is what I tell people to look at, like what's your soul purpose. So if you don't know your astrology chart, check it out. Look for your North Node, and that can give you some hints to what you need to be doing in this life compared to your past life. In my past life, I had this Pisces, and the Pisces was sort of like this monk energy. Like I could have been healing in tarot, everything, but I was hidden away. Like I was a monk in a monastery. You give me my clothes, I'll wait here. You tell me what to do. I'll stay hidden away. And the Virgo energy saying like, nope. Stop hiding, Pisces. Get out of your daydream bubble, and you have to go out and be of service. So anytime I'm doubting myself and what I'm doing, I realize like, no, I'm here to be of service, to interact with people, and to ultimately help them, because the Virgos got to help. We can't help ourselves. We're like Dobby the house elf. So anytime I'm doubting what I'm doing, or like, oh, I don't know if I want to put any energy into that, I realize like, nope. Because I don't want to come back on this planet again. I'm going to be done with this. So I'm going to get this life purpose like checked off the box and see if I did good enough, and say like, okay, are we done here? Are we good? Thanks.
Part of my ask of this question is also, it's what we were saying about how at the point that you were learning tarot as a kid, there were not as many people that were knowing about it. And now you can go into Urban Outfitters, and there's tarot decks and things like that. I don't know if that's true, but I know they have books on witchcraft, so chances are there's tarot decks that are available. So I asked this question, one, about people's openness to all of this, and then twofold, but it's related, is how do you think we're doing? I mean, with people being more awake, is that is that helping? Is that going to help our planet sort of keeping the vibe high and not falling into fear? Or are we just that much more sensitive, and it hurts that much more to see all the crazy and, sometimes ugly and dark that's out there?
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting, because I feel like with the spiritual awareness, like it's becoming stronger. I feel like, it's more natural to have be in tune with spirit than not. And also, a lot of people are talking about with this age of Aquarius, it's like the third person, like the gatekeeper, is getting kind of kicked out. And the gatekeepers aren't really going to like that so much. It used to be like, you want to talk to God, let's say, I think it's I'm not Catholic, and no offense Catholics, but like you need to talk to the priest, and then the priest talks to God, and then you do your thing. Or in the yoga world, like you find your guru, and then the guru does the things. Now we're empowering people. It's like, nope, you don't need the middleman. You have the power. You can talk, and you can pray, and you can receive your messages. So we're going to kind of be going through growing out a really bad haircut phase for a while. Where people aren't going to want to say, like, no, but I like the bangs. You're like, the bangs are done, Carol.
I know.
You're done with the bangs. You're done with the bad energy. You're done with the third party. Grow it out. You're going to look stupid for a while. So right now, people are a little stupid.
You're going to have doubts. Better. Don't go back and recut the bang.
Yeah.
It's like, no.
Let it go.
Let it go.
Let it grow.
Use some barrettes. Use some cute haired bands.
Yeah, So right now it's sort of an awkward time between the old guard and the new guard, shifting energies. But, but it is happening. And as long as people mind their ego with the whole thing, because the messages aren't like, I share these messages because I'm so powerful. No, you're just channeling the messages and or helping people communicate with their own guides. Like you're the middle person, but that's why I say, like, you can tune in at any time. So if somebody's stuck, don't be stuck. You're okay.
Final words for us.
I love you. And so
I love Sam, you too, and I love everybody for listening, and thanks for coming. Come back again soon. I know that there was another. We discussed what we should be talking about today, and I was like, well, let's talk about career stuff for people. I know that even though we're in the summer doldrums at the time of taping, I still think we have to set up for the fall and lock and load for what we're doing professionally. So
October eclipse.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And we're going into some Mercury retrograde soon and all of this. So it's good to keep your eye on it, because we will have to be back into that busy fall season before we know it and all of that other stuff. So come back soon.
Thank you, Bonnie.
With Sam, too. All right. Thank you. Thanks for listening, everyone. Again, I'm Bonnie Burkert, and we are Truth Be Told. Tony Sweet is on Fridays at 3 p.m. live, so please join the community in the chat room there. Robert Hensley is also doing shows for us where he loves to give us up-to-date info on new findings as well as new releases, new books, and interesting info on this world of magic and higher consciousness. So we're here to raise the vibe, everyone. So I hope you'll join us, and by sharing this show and following us as well. Until the next time, again, we thank you for listening, and shine on.